The Galactic Council had summoned humanity 17 times. 17 times the encrypted quantum messages had been transmitted across the void to Earth, each one more insistent than the last. 17 times the Council's translators had carefully crafted their demands in what they believed was the appropriate diplomatic language for a species barely 3 centuries into space travel, and 17 times humanity had simply ignored them. Commander Diana Chen stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, her reflection ghosting across the viewport that showed the swirling majesty of the Andromeda Gateway. Behind her stretched a fleet that would have been impossible just 50 years ago, 300 warships of varying classes, each one a masterpiece of human ingenuity born from necessity rather than tradition. "Ma'am, the Council station is hailing us," Lieutenant Oliver Park reported from the communications console, his voice carrying a hint of amusement. "They sound distressed." Diana allowed herself a small smile. "Put them through." The holographic display shimmered to life, revealing the elongated face of Ambassador Kelthor, a Zathari whose species had held a council seat for over 20,000 years. His facial tendrils writhed in what Diana had learned was extreme agitation. "You dare approach council space with a military fleet?" Kelthor's translator rendered his words in perfect English, though it couldn't quite mask the underlying fury. "This is a violation of every protocol, every—" "Ambassador," Diana interrupted smoothly. "We received your summons. All 17 of them." Kelthor's tendrils froze. "Then why did you not respond? Why did you not send representatives? Do you have any idea what chaos your silence has caused?" Diana's smile faded. "We were busy, Ambassador. Busy surviving." She gestured to Oliver, who brought up a star chart on the shared holographic display. Red markers bloomed across dozens of systems like blood spreading through water. "While your council was summoning us to explain why we'd established unauthorized colonies in what you call the outer reaches," Diana continued, her voice hardening, "we were fighting. The Devourers, the entities you claimed were myths and impossible, they're very real, and they've been consuming every human settlement they could reach." Kelthor's expression shifted to something that might have been confusion or concern. "The Devourers are legend. No species has encountered them in 50 millennia. Until us," Oliver interjected, pulling up combat footage. The hologram showed massive biomechanical horrors tearing through space stations, their forms defying conventional physics. First contact was 8 years ago. Colony Beta 7 population 4 million. Survivors, none. The council chamber, visible now behind Kelthor, had fallen silent. Diana could see representatives from a dozen species watching with varying degrees of shock on their alien features. "We sent distress calls," Diana said, her voice quiet but carrying the weight of every loss. "We begged for help. We offered to share everything we knew about the Devourers' tactics, their technology, their weakness to certain quantum frequencies." "Do you know what your council did?" Kelthor said nothing. "You sent us summons. Legal documents. Demands that we appear before you to answer for territorial violations and unauthorized military buildup." Diana's hands clenched behind her back. "So we stopped reading them. We had a war to fight." Another council member, a crystalline being named Shard of Dawn, spoke up, their voice chiming like wind through glass. "But surely you could have spared even one diplomat." "Every single human was needed," Diana cut in. "Do you understand? Every engineer, every soldier, every scientist, every parent, teaching their children how to seal emergency bulkheads. We lost 37 colonies, 12 billion people, and we fought alone." The bridge of the Indomitable fell silent except for the steady hum of the ship's systems. Oliver pulled up another image, this time showing a graveyard of devourer corpses floating in space, thousands of the massive creatures drifting lifeless among the debris of human and alien ships. "But we won," Diana said softly. "Not because we were strong, not because we were advanced. We won because we were too stubborn to die quietly and too desperate to care about your rules." Kelthor seemed to have regained some composure. "Then why are you here now? Why bring a fleet to our very doorstep?" Diana's smile returned, but it held no warmth. "Because the Devourers aren't gone, Ambassador. We destroyed their vanguard, their forward scouts. But we captured one of their vessels intact and we've decoded their communications. The main swarm is coming. Millions of them. And they're not heading for human space anymore." She let that sink in before continuing. "They're heading here. To council space. To the heart of your precious civilization. They'll be here in 6 months. The council chamber erupted in panic. Voices in a dozen languages overlapped, translators struggling to keep up. Diana waited patiently until Kelthor raised a tendril for silence. "Why should we believe you?" he asked. Though his voice had lost its earlier certainty, Oliver transmitted a data package. "Because we're giving you everything. Every scan, every battle record, every tactical analysis. And more importantly," he glanced at Diana, who nodded, "we're offering to help." "Help?" Shard of Dawn's chime held notes of disbelief. "You come here with weapons of war and offer help?" Diana stepped closer to the holographic display, her face now visible to every council member. "These weapons saved humanity. They can save you too. But only if you're willing to listen to a species you've dismissed for 8 years. Only if you're willing to accept that maybe, just maybe, the young upstarts from Sol System learned something valuable while you were busy sending us legal briefs." She gestured to the fleet behind her, ships bristling with weapons born from desperation and refined through countless battles. "We ignored your summons not out of disrespect but out of necessity. We built this fleet not to conquer but to survive. And now we're offering it to you, freely, because despite everything, despite your indifference, despite your bureaucracy, despite being left to die alone, we're still human enough to help." Kelthor looked at her for a long moment, his tendrils still. "And what do you want in return?" Diana's laugh was sharp. "Want? Ambassador, we don't want anything except for you to survive. Because if the Devourers finish with you, they'll come for us again. This isn't charity, it's practicality. But," her voice softened slightly, "it would be nice if after this the Council remembered that sometimes the species that ignores your summons isn't being disrespectful. Sometimes they're just busy saving the galaxy." The silence stretched. Finally, Kelthor bowed his head, tendrils drooping in what Diana recognized as genuine humility. "Forgive us, Commander Chen, we did not understand." "No," Diana agreed. "You didn't. But you will." As the Indomitable and its fleet moved into formation around the council station, Oliver leaned toward Diana and whispered, "Think they'll actually listen this time?" Diana watched as council ships began awkwardly maneuvering to join the human formation, their movements uncertain compared to the practiced precision of her fleet. "They will," she said, "because now they don't have a choice. And besides," she allowed herself a genuine smile, "humanity's best trait has always been teaching others what we learned the hard way." Outside the viewport, the stars shone indifferent and eternal. But between them, invisible to the naked eye, the Devourers were coming. And this time humanity wouldn't face them alone. This time the galaxy would learn what it meant when humans stopped reading their messages and started writing their own destiny in fire and steel among the stars.